Hello and welcome to yet another video. This one is how to replace the front fork oil seals on the R1100GS. Front forks. So yeah, took this for an MOT. Guy said that the front shock absorber misty round the stanchions. Alright, he showed me a place where the front forks had a little tiny bit of misty oil, which, you know, is an indication that there's a very slight weep of the seals. Fair enough. Well, on a normal bike where the front forks are the shock absorber, then yeah, you can deem that as a failure. But on the BMW 1100s, the front forks are nothing to do with the shock absorber. That's not the shock absorber. It's not even a spring in there. All the forks do is hold the wheel in position and give you the control through steering. So the oil that's contained within the forks is purely for lubrication. The stanchions go in and out. They provide no effective suspension at all. They are merely a means of keeping the wheel in position. The shock absorber is a totally different item. On 99% of bikes, the front forks are the shock absorber. On the BMW, they're not. So you can't fail a BMW for a slight weep on the stanchions. If there was a considerable weep and there was loads of oil pouring down the leg, highly unlikely, but it could happen, I suppose, then yeah, you would potentially fail that because of the problem that oil could do to the brakes. But you wouldn't fail it because of a suspension item, because it's not a suspension item. Anyway, enough bollocks. This is how you physically do it. So I'm going to remove the front forks and renew the seals. Now it is possible to do this job with the forks still in position, but I'm going to take the forks off so you can actually see the job in its entirety. So I've taken the beak off to give you a little bit more ease of seeing what I'm doing, and then we'll go through it and I'll show you what's involved. So first things first, unscrew these bolts here that hold the spats in position. They're nicely out the way. That gives us a bit of clearance. So the next thing, remove that and that. Don't take them out, just loosen them off. Don't remove them, just loosen them off both sides so that the caliper is ready to be taken off. Then loosen these two off both sides, undo that, remove that, just loosen this, remove that. Then simply remove these, and then that allows the caliper to just be pulled away from the disc nice and gently and removed. So, that's removed. Then on this side, place a lever in there, and then you can just use that to pull the axle out, which will then allow the wheel to drop out. And then once the spindle's off, just pull the wheel out from between the forks. just put it out the way so you don't trip over it, which means I will. So you've taken the 2 bolts out the side, then there's one more bolt up inside there, so you undo that, and then that will release the front mudguard. Out comes the bolt, off comes the mudguard. Nice and out the way. Now we're left with the fork bridge. Now to release the forks separately, the bridge is going to stay in place. So these 2 bolts here, that one and that one, they've got to be removed. Once again, undo them, but don't take them out, just leave them so they're still in, so then you can remove the top at the same time and let the whole thing out in one go. So these 2 bolts here, release them. They are now loose but not taken out, so the fork is being held in position by them. Now we move to the top of the fork, and there you'll find a rubber bung. Clip that bung off. There's a nut underneath that which we need to remove. So you take that off. Then you get a nut. You get a spanner which will hold the top of the fork like that, whilst you then undo that. It's 14mm, so you take that off, and then that will release the tube from the top yoke. The tube will now be free. So now the only thing holding the forks on, or this fork, are those 2 bolts which you've already loosened off. So now remove these 2 bolts whilst holding the fork, and the entire fork will be off. Just when you look at the top of the cap, there's a screw. Now before you take the stanchion out of the slider, you must take that screw out. Notice that when you take the screw out, there is an oil seal on it, a little O-ring. Make sure that O-ring is still there. Sometimes it sticks in the hole and it's easy to overlook. Make sure you get it. You cannot pull the stanchion out of the slider until you take that screw out, because it's a retention screw. That completely removed, the fork leg can be pushed up and down. When that's in, there's an air resistance, so you now pull that out completely. See, there's no damper, it's literally just a tube, just a stanchion. No damper, no fork mechanisms whatsoever, and inside there you've got a conventional fork seal and a cap, some fork legs and some oil. For lubrication, of course, oil. So now what we're going to do now is totally clean it all up. Got some new seals on their way, and put it all together and make it a nice job. So you tear the cap off, dust cap, and then there's a circlip in there. Remove the circlip, and then that leaves you access to physically prise out the old seal. Then basically what you've got to do then is give it a real good clean inside and out to make sure it's all ready. I've poured the oil into a jar so that I can analyse it, just in case there's anything in there to worry about, and then basically when the new seals come, we'll fit them in, rebuild, et voila. So once it's stripped out, that's what you've got in the end. Prise that out gently. That is, you've got to be a bit gentle with that to get that out of there. There's the dust cover, circlip. That little rubber goes over the top here. The little screw that vents the leg out. All cleaned, all ready to be reassembled. Just waiting now for the new seals, and then I shall rebuild it. I'll show you how. New fork seals have arrived. They're going to be placed in there, drifted down to the bottom so that I can put the circlip on. It's essential to make sure that this washer is in position before you put the seal in, because it is easy for that washer to fall out during cleaning and then for you to miss it. So put the seal into the opening and then just carefully, gently drift it fully home. Now there's loads of different ways you can do that. What I normally do, I normally put the old seal on top of it and just very gently drift it in with a pin punch, very gently. I know loads of people probably. Once that's in and you can see the circlip groove, what we do then, get the circlip and then just push that into position, making sure it's fully home. It must go fully home all the way around. That is then in position. Next, you have to lubricate the piston seal with red grease. Red rubber grease, which you put around the seals, which you put around the lips of the seal to protect it when you're installing the stanchion. Reinstall the oil. And bearing in mind, the oil is purely lubrication. It has no effect on whether the forks are stiff or not, like it does on conventional forks. So it doesn't matter whether you put engine oil in there or watch oil in there. It's the same product at the end of the day. It lubricates the stanchions. Next, the stanchion needs to be fitted back into the fork leg. So leave that screw out. Do not put that screw back in. If you put the screw in, you'll find it very difficult to get the stanchion in. Slide the stanchion into the slider. There it is. Two come together nice and gently, and then you'll feel it just sliding its way all the way to the bottom. Then fit the dust seal over the edge and push it into the slider. So, then fit the little rubber at the top. Now we don't fit that screw, that top screw, until we're putting the forks back on. Hold the fork into position where those two bolts are, and then screw them in. Once again, don't do them up tight, just screw them in so they've actually physically taken control, and the fork is then hanging on the bridge via those two bolts. You can do them up almost up to the top, but don't do them up tight. That's now holding the fork. Pull the stanchion up until it's nearly level with the yoke, and then put that little screw back in. Make sure it's done up tight. Make sure it's done up tight, and then feed the stanchion into the yoke. Once it's in position, fit the nut and then do it up as per undoing it. Then fit the other fork leg, do exactly the same thing, do those two bolts up tight, those two nuts up tight and then fit the caps. Refit the front mudguard, retained by the nut. Then the front wheel. Make sure the spacers are in place. Feed the wheel under the mudguard. In goes the spindle. Fit the nut. Do it up to pull the wheel spindle in. Make sure the wheel spins freely. Then you can do that up tight. Do the two pinch bolts up. Just nip them up. You don't need to be done up super tight. It's not Charles Atlas. Nip, nip. And then we need to refit the calipers into position. Just slide them over the disc, bolt them up both sides nice and gently. Make sure the wheel spins okay with them in position, then do them all up. Then finally all done up, all checked through, made sure everything is as it should be, mudguard all back on, all done up tight, everything working perfectly, wheel still spins, no dragging brakes or anything. So yeah, that is set of front fork oil seals done and dusted. There you go, another video showing you how to do a particular job on the R1100 front fork oil seals. I know there's a few things. So I hope you found that useful, and see you on the next one. Take care. Bye.